for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders.
This is what I signed up for as a first responder. I am constantly worried about being exposed to this virus and potentially bringing it back to my home and my family. I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help to those that need it.
We look out for the helpers because they look out for us.
Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders.
Love you. Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
Learn how you can help first responders in your community by texting BRAVE to 24365.
Serving the universe from the greatest location in the nation. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX in Nathan, Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Knocked away and intercepted. Ball game.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room.
The fairy tale continues.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
And the breakthrough for the U.S.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? Welcome into the Rib Crib Radio Room. Thank you guys for listening today. It's Boston Tim Old School, and I'm David Hayes. Give us a call or text 850-215-6290. Zion Williamson has been ripped by J.J. Redick, who was a teammate of his with the New Orleans Pelicans, for not being a better teammate, and really this circulates around. C.J. McCollum, who was traded to the Pelicans, has yet to actually meet Zion in person, face to face. And so JJ's like, he actually did this, not this particular situation, but he actually called Zion out in front of, I don't want to say called him out, but talked to Zion in front of the team about investing in your teammates, especially if you're going to be the franchise guy. You've got to have relationships with your teammates. Is JJ out of line here? What do you think, Boston Tim?
I think JJ is just a product of his times, right? And in his time growing up, he was kind of the end of an era of guys who should really commit to their teams, especially if they're the franchise player. But realistically, in the last 8 to 10 years, maybe even a little bit longer, it's just not like that anymore. You know, none of your franchise guys are actually franchise guys. It's more of a tag than it is necessarily a meaning behind who they are as an individual. So while I don't disagree with JJ, I just don't think that's how, you know, the superstars in the NBA are anymore, unfortunately.
So what you're saying is that the superstars of the league now don't care about the front of the jersey. They only care about the name on the back of the jersey, right? Yeah, I agree with that totally.
And I do believe, don't get me wrong,
they're each now their own brand.
Right, exactly.
And that's what they care about, is their own, their stats, their brand, you know, their shoe deal, the number of likes and whatever in social media. It's not so much about being the face of the franchise. Even though Drew Brees, you know, when he was drafted, went over there to his hotel and brought him a jersey signed and said, "Hey, the city's now yours." You know, Zion's got to want that. And maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe he just likes being the little tubby guy at the end of the bench getting paid $78 million a year.
Right.
Or whatever the number is.
And who's to know really his perspective, and who's to say that it's not the executives that are telling him, listen, you need to go out here to Denver or wherever it is that he's doing his physical training and be out there, not be with the team, but make sure you're taking care of yourself first.
But I mean, you would think that he would at least be in communication with the executives of the team, but from what I'm hearing, he's not really doing that. He's not even really having, keeping the GM or the trainers, up to date on what his progress is or anything like that. To me, it kind of appears to me like he's like checking out. He's like, I don't want to be in this town. I want to be in a big city.
It's a possibility. I think it was it Portland? Maybe they said that he was. I have to look it up.
I think that's right. I think it was in Portland.
Right, and so maybe is that maybe they're showing something. Maybe he's trying to tell people that's where he wants to be, or maybe that's just where the best doctors are for him. Who knows? But with his money, with the capabilities of the franchise and the team, there's no reason you can't be over there for your training. And when your brand new trade, one of the better players in the NBA comes to your team, you're not there to greet him.
I mean, all you got
there's no reason you can't do both.
And he doesn't have to be there physically to meet him. It would be nice, but he could at least just call him on the phone, text him. I mean, with all these fancy devices now, I mean, there's
Zoom call.
Zoom call.
A million different ways for him to communicate with him. But obviously,
what's your favorite method
really
of modern communication?
modern,
Old school?
it's called the telephone. You dial the number and you speak into it, and the guy on the other end hears you. You go,
Ring.
That's correct. And that way they can hear the inflection in your voice. They can tell whether you're happy and really excited to talk to him, or if you think this guy is a jackass. They can tell just by how your voice sounds. They don't have to read it and
so
then interpret
very true.
it.
That's a very
the problem.
swell point.
That is the problem with you read words, and you read it one way and somebody else reads it the other. If you speak it, people can tell what you can. And that's why
Old School's going to start himself his own Rotary Club instead of going out and helping others. Hey, check out my new phone, bro.
Check out my new phone, man.
Can't text on this thing, but
I wish I could get a rotary phone again.
I'm sure that you could find one. You ever heard of this thing called eBay?
Don't do that to him.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do that.
Don't do that to him.
That's too crazy.
That's too crazy.
I'll defend you.
Don't
do that to him.
Yeah, I mean, you go onto this box and you go, yeah, hey, you give that person your credit card number and they send it to you. No, I'm not doing that. No.
You use PayPal or something.
What?
We're on the radio at 104.3 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and with our
I'll
TV
pay
partner.
My pal when I want to pay him, but I ain't paying. I don't even know who that
Well, pay
is.
up. You see my little Georgia Tech piggy bank over here.
Okay.
Pay your pal.
Now, without PayPal, we wouldn't have SpaceX, right? So,
that
PayPal
guy.
is
You're
the
talking about
company that
Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah,
was a big part of and sold.
Yeah, but it wasn't just him. There was
no,
another guy.
but he made $195 million off the deal, which afforded him the ability to start Tesla and SpaceX.
I mean, it's almost as much money I got.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, big shout out to our TV partner, Blab TV. If you got a Fire Stick or a Roku, make sure to get the Blab TV app. Make sure that you like and share our Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download the new app and register 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The trivia question, man, we've had so much going on with the Juwan Howard and Greg Gard situation, saga, if you will. So the trivia question today, the most famous example of a coach's emotions boiling over occurred on this day in 1985 when Indiana's Bob Knight threw a chair across the floor at Assembly Hall. But the chair wasn't Knight's first choice of projectile. What did he later say he had initially wanted to throw? And I'll give you multiple choice. We'll go back in the day. A clipboard, his jacket, his shoe, or his belt. You can listen to ESPN Northwest Florida on 104.3 or on the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Judge rules that Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson can be questioned under oath in 9 civil cases. According to
called a deposition.
Deposition. All right, we're going to break it down in layman's terms. They mean the same exact thing, Old School. Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, said in court Monday that the Harris County District Attorney will likely decide by April 1st whether Watson will be criminally charged. The District Attorney's Office and Houston Police have declined to comment on the status of the criminal case against Watson. They also ruled Monday that Watson can be questioned under oath on allegations relating to 9 out of the 22 pending civil cases. None of the women involved in those 9 cases has filed a criminal complaint against Watson, and all of them have already provided depositions. There you go, old school. See, we used both words and didn't let that word get boring. You don't want to overuse it.
Well, I mean, the point is, questioning sounds so much more pleasant than being deposed or having a deposition.
Interrogated?
Yeah, I mean, because it's under oath. And if you lie
but they say
under
questioned under oath.
You could be perjury. You could have perjury charges filed against you.
Right. Still
Unless
questioning,
you're
though.
former president.
All right. So what do y'all think the likelihood of Deshaun Watson playing in the National Football League 2023 is?
50%.
What about 2022?
No.
0%? So he's not. So a whole nother year off for Deshaun Watson.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how these things can drag on for years.
Yeah, I think there's a good possibility that not this coming season, but the following season, by then he will have worked through lawsuits or different things that he and dealt with the possibility of a.
What if like 5-6 years down the road, Watson's cleared of all of this stuff, and then it almost turns into a Washington Commanders football team, Redskins type saga with Dan Snyder? So, like, what if there is actual collusion with the Houston Texans and trying to formulate these things, conjure them up? Not saying that it is like that. I'm saying there's been murmurs of that. We're going, look, 9 out of 22 is not a very big number. It's not half of them. Some of the other ladies who have been deposed, did their depositions, have pled the fifth all the way through. I don't know if money's involved there or not. I'm just saying there could be a real likelihood chance of something coming out in 6-7 years. I'm just kind of speculating, kind of like how we were doing about LeBron James and Sam Presti.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's a possibility of that. I mean, anytime you start dealing with multiple millions of dollars, people get a little sensitive about things, and they start trying to manipulate and trying to control, and particularly when you are in a position of power, you don't want to give that up.
Yeah, but
I think that if that's the case, then that's the type of kind of the situation we're in with Miami, where if the allegations are true, they're probably not going to keep that. Not going to keep the franchise. They're going to have to sell it.
It's crazy because you know how a lot of places don't really talk Major League Baseball until it's a big, something that really doesn't even directly tie in with a sport, like steroids, just all kind. They're always in the news for the wrong things. Whereas the NFL's got 3 high-profile things going on right now, and more of that if you kind of dig into it. And they're a lot better at keeping those things a little less. They're still on the radar, but you would think some of these things would just be blown up. But it's kind of hard to find real details on what's going on in this case with Deshaun Watson. And if it were to come out that the Texans set Deshaun Watson up, everybody in that franchise, or at least front office, you got to be far gone. Just like Dan Snyder, in my opinion, some of the things that he's done is just, dude, you can't really own a football team and do things like that to cheerleaders and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're crossing a line. And so if it comes out, everything that we're saying right now is speculation.
Well, it's happened in baseball. Marge Schott was forced to sell the Cincinnati Reds.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened in basketball. Sterling with the Clippers, he was forced to sell that.
Donald Sterling.
Yep, Donald Sterling. It hasn't happened in the NFL yet, but it's coming. It's not that far away. It could be the situation in Miami. It could be the situation you're speaking of, David. It could also be the situation in Dallas.
Oh, yeah. Wow. How has that one not been?
With the $4 million settlement over something happening with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And some video.
Voyeurism
and whatever. So, I mean, there's still a lot that, but the NFL is very good, as you say, at burying and keeping the news out of the newspaper. And the reason is because all of these reporters, all of these guys, they want access. And whenever you decide you're going to open the door to ugly situations, you have the
a little bit more control
of not having the access that you once had. So you have to make sure that you have
your I's dotted and your T's crossed
before you roll it out.
Make sure that tittle's there.
Yep.
No doubt. We wanted to bring this up yesterday. Didn't have a lot of time, and I got a question or two about this for Boston Tim. But Medina Spirit stripped of its Kentucky Derby victory. Bob Baffert suspended 90 days. In addition, Baffert was fined $7,500, and all the purse money from the Kentucky Derby for Medina Spirit win was forfeited. Churchill Downs announced after the ruling that Mandaloun is now recognized as the winner of the 147th Kentucky Derby. So that's where my question comes in, Tim. What happens with all of those bets? Do they finish how they were a year ago, or do they make it all, like, do they change all the money around? Like, if you had Mandaloun up there, now you're getting the big ticket.
Unfortunately not. They say, pari-mutuel wagering is not affected. So if something happens after the bet, after the deciding factor, and there's a judgment or a changing, it doesn't change the bets.
Okay.
So if anything that happens after that particular day of that, say the race or whatever, the event. Thank you very much. If it isn't decided that day immediately, then nothing changes.
I wonder if his suspension is going to be running consecutive or concurrently, because he had the 2-year suspension after it came out about the illegal substance that Medina Spirit was using, but he was also suspended 90 days here. And the results, Medina Spirit died December 6th after a workout at Santa Anita Racetrack in California. Results released last week from a necropsy. Is that the correct?
That's the correct.
All right.
Yes.
On the horse revealed no definitive cause of death.
Oh, it was. There's
no definitive cause of death. They originally, what were they saying? Like, it was just
Said
like
they had had a heart
exhaustion.
attack.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it though. Mandaloun recognized as the winner, but didn't win nobody any money. Big Phil Mickelson walking it back. Those comments, asinine.
Yeah.
Just absolutely ridiculous. So it didn't just irk his fellow golfers, but KPMG, one of Mickelson's signature sponsors, dropped him as a client yesterday. And he's since issued a apology, if you want to call it that, quote unquote apology. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, I know he's wore that hat and shirt a very, very long time. So,
and he has been a key spokesperson for that organization for decades, at least 10 years.
And they say freedom of speech, but even freedom is limited.
Yep. And it's the thing is, it's not the first time that Phil has popped off and said things, and then had to eat his words. He's had to roll it back a couple of times, but he's also one of the best there is at going out and working the crowds and being a fan favorite and winning people back. That's his gift. But his weakness is he opens his mouth before it and his brain doesn't engage. And he says things that he truly believes are true, but they turn out to not be. But he plays them off as if they are.
Oh man, that's a crazy situation, and we've got a defend your stance question today, revolving around that at 4:45.
I just wonder if it's if he and Aaron Rodgers are contacting. Are they?
Is this
are
a
they
battle?
Drinking whiskey and bourbon
together?
Via Zoom calls and let's see who can make the better conference tomorrow. Huh? I got a million says it's me.
Well, I bet Phil loves being around stars. I mean, he likes hanging out with the stars, and
we're scary guys.
Wouldn't surprise me that he and Aaron don't have some kind of relationship there.
We're gonna take a quick time out, pay some bills. We'll be right back, keeping it rolling with some headlines and more hot topics from the sports world.
Weather forecast overnight, a little bit of fog forming. The overnight temperature with partly cloudy skies above about 55 to 60, and light south winds. The morning fog will lift and dissipate. It'll be partly to mostly sunny Thursday. Highs around 78, light south winds. Chance of a shower or two Friday, partly sunny near 75. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Offord Tire and Service Center in Callaway. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your exclusive home for March Madness.
And it goes for the win!
We'll bring you every game live. It's the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament, college basketball's premier event, and it's all right here.
And the dream is alive!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The dream, yes!
Make Diego's Burrito Factory and Margarita Bar on Thomas Drive your live sports headquarters. Catch all of your favorite teams and the biggest games while enjoying the best Mexican food on the beach. Diego's Burrito Factory also has beer and margarita specials during every live game. Diego's Burrito Factory, Thomas Drive and Front Beach Road. Diego's Burrito Factory. Come let us roll you a fat one.
I'm Matt Glover with Aero Pest Service, and we are your family-owned and operated pest control company in Bay County since 1977. Did you know bed bugs are hitchhikers and you can pick them up anywhere people congregate? Churches, restaurants, buses, and movie theaters? Call us today and we'll guarantee you a treatment process to get rid of your bed bugs. Give us a call today at Aero Pest Service, 850-874-1900.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You are listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Boston Tim and Old School. Let's get into some more headlines and hot topics. Frustrating day in the world of Major League Baseball unless you're an owner or a player at this point in time where it seems like you guys are just having fun telling each other no right now. But for the fans, we're at a loss. So we had a little bit of hope, right, after, what was it, Monday's meeting? And we're like, okay, this week we're going to get it done, no doubt about it. And then the owners left Tuesday's meeting disappointed with what the players offered. The union said it was simply mirroring the magnitude of offers that the league made Monday. The union backed down slightly on its demand for more arbitration, but not much other progress was made. The league offered again to involve federal mediators, which the players again quickly shot down, saying they want to negotiate directly. We're getting pretty close here to February 28th. The way I see it, it's 5 days. And we're almost through with our 5th day, so we've got about 4 days to get something done. Boston Tim, I'm going to ask you again and ask you every day that you're here because you you really do believe that we're playing baseball on time. Are they building this up? Are they building this up to make it happen like that, where it's like, oh, we're so far apart, and then all of a sudden, boom, February 28th, a deal's made?
I mean, I don't think they're doing it for media reasons or attention or anything like that. It's just is what it is. But I think that they're going to have to find common grounds because there's, like I continue to say, there's just too much money out there on both sides to just be left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to figure something out. They're going to make it happen.
Old school.
I don't know if they have to get an adjudicator in there or arbitrator, or whatever they.
But that's what's happening, though. The players keep on.
I agree. They continue. The union continues to deny that they want one. They continue to say no, we're not going to do that. But at some point, like they're doing on all the little things, they're going to have to give up. They're going to get somebody in there, and they'll get it done.
I mean, I hope so. for baseball fans' standpoint, but I don't think it's going to happen. This reminds me so much of the year that they went on strike. It's the same situation. It was just flipped around. The threat of going on strike. Now it's the threat of we're not going to play baseball. It's the same. It's the same situation. Neither side likes each other. Neither side wants to negotiate. You just look at the body language of when you see pictures of Max Scherzer and the other guy, and they walk out and they're shaking their head. There's nothing going to get done here. This is nothing more than a sham of a supposed negotiation. They are not going to. And it won't be until Congress comes down and slaps some kind of thing about antitrust. And then all of those billionaires on both sides, because the players are close to being billionaires, some of them are, and the team owners certainly are.
So antitrust doesn't affect you until you're
not when
a billionaire?
You have the right. When you have the right label by the government, antitrust laws no longer in effect. The Congress will come down on them at some point, and then they will be forced to do something. It's the same thing happened to the NFL. The same exact situation happened for the NFL when they went out on strike. Same situation.
That's interesting. Brian Flores claims he was offered money for silence in an HBO interview Tuesday night. Said he turned down millions of dollars by not signing a non-disparagement agreement with the Dolphins after the team terminated his employment. His lawyers even provided screenshots of the alleged agreement. The team vehemently denied the accusation Tuesday, calling it categorically false. Flores is now, like we said yesterday, defensive assistant with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really awesome that he did end up getting a job. And what better place for him to land than the Pittsburgh Steelers under one of the best coaches to do it. Hasn't had a losing season or under a losing season 15 years for Mike Tomlin. So I think that's a great place for Flores to land. There was a little talk of him possibly going back to the Patriots. Could you imagine that? Like the coach who kind of, I don't want to say outed you, but put it on your radar that something might be going on that was fishy, and you end up landing with them. That would have really made your civil lawsuit against the league. It would have made it look funny.
It would have certainly been a lot
What do you
more
think about this, though, with the NDA agreement and all that's going on with Brian Flores right now?
Well, I think the fact that he and his lawyer have brought proof immediately to the table is a big thing, right? So he has proof that somebody from the organization has offered that they wanted him to sign NDA, and he has denied it. He doesn't want to do it. And so I think that's big on his side as far as this whole lawsuit goes. I'm very surprised that the organization responded so quickly, saying that it's, for the most part, BS.
I'm sorry, Tim, but a screen capture is not evidence. Anybody can create something and say, "Oh, here it is." It's not true evidence. It has to be written. And I understand that it's a different world, but a screen capture is not in the rule of law. I don't think would be considered as evidence because they can be created.
The capture absolutely not, but the email can be traced back to the person who sent it, and that's what really matters.
Yes.
Now, if they just brought a random thing that's and that's what it is, right. Maybe. But I would assume that a lawyer would be a lot more intelligent than to do something like that.
Electronic evidence is admissible in the court of law. Make sure you do not edit them and produce the original instrument, in your case here, old school device on which they were taken. So that, and obviously we're not lawyers here, so we can't tell you what is and what isn't allowed.
He's not wrong. Now,
I agree 100%.
Absolutely not. Right. But if there is an actual email coming from the organization, from any individual that works for the organization,
correct,
they got him.
If they can prove that the screenshot's not edited, I don't know, man.
Absolutely, you can.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, either way, they've got some type of evidence that could lead to more evidence on their side.
I mean, I really hope they do, because the best thing that could happen for Miami is for that guy to have to sell the team.
Then what happens too on the flip side of that? All right, so everything that Flores has said so far has been denied adamantly by everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so let's say we can figure out that it's true that Stephen Ross tried to pay him $100,000 to lose games. And then, or this comes out right here and it's proven. And then it's like, okay, Giants, like, now you're on the clock. It's going to be really hard to prove if you already in your mind had the intentions of signing coach or hiring Coach Dayball. But still, it just makes it look like there's a lot of, all right, NFL owners say this, and then people who are actually dealing with the situation say this. What do you think there?
I just think this is going to be a ugly, ugly thing when it finally comes out. And I think there could be multiple teams that are in trouble and multiple ownerships which could possibly change. Because, these guys are billionaires. They are used to getting their way. They're used to being able to demand from attorneys and demand, and they get what they want. And for them to threaten, they do it all the time. Sign this or you don't get a bonus. Sign this or this happens. And this guy was willing, it appears that Flores was willing to sacrifice. I may never coach again, but that's okay. But I'm going to put this out there and deal with it.
It kind of does, because I remember there's a couple of conversations that we've had where it was like, is he doing this for the money side of it? Because, if he wins the lawsuit, his pockets will be padded from that. Or is he doing this for the future of black coaches? You know what I mean? And now the more that this situation kind of plays out, the more it does look like he did make a lot of sacrifices to make this happen. You know what I mean? And he is doing this for the future of black coaches in the National Football League at every level, not just head coaching, quarterback coaches, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, list goes on and on.
Yeah. I find it very comforting that where he went to work for his new job is underneath a black coach.
Yeah.
Because, he understands. That coach understands what, Mike Tomlin gets what it's like to be in his position.
Right.
And he understands the sacrifice that Brian Flores probably made. He's like, I'm bringing him on.
Yeah.
And the Rooney family is brave enough. We don't care. You do what's right.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the Rooney family is they're going to say, Mike, we don't care. We've got your back. You do the right thing.
Yeah, that's Pittsburgh.
That's Pittsburgh.
I love it.
Simple as that. That's just Pittsburgh.
One more before we get to another break here. How about Zach Johnson, old school? He's going to be the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team in 2023. What do you think about that? Good captain? Good choice?
Yeah,
we going back-to-back here?
No.
We're not going to win back-to-back because it's in
I
Europe this time?
Assistant or
he's been
co-captain back-to-back times?
Yeah, he's been an assistant captain the last 2 times, which is kind of the way that they've started going. So that the guys they're used to being in it and being a part of it, and they know the responsibility that they have. This is going to be tough. The United States hasn't won overseas in Europe in 30 years or something like that.
Today.
It's going to be very difficult, particularly given the fact that we just waxed them pretty good over here, and they're going to be the European team was embarrassed by how bad we put a whooping on them, and they're coming out all guns a-blazing. And so for Zach, I personally kind of think like Zach's kind of taking one for the team here. He's going to go over there, and he's the kind of guy that he's not afraid of the challenges. He was, first of all, it's amazing that he was on the PGA Tour. Second of all, it's amazing that he won at Augusta National. And third, it was amazing that he's won the British Open before, and it's only because of his guts and his diligence and his unwillingness to quit that he was able to accomplish what he's accomplished in golf so far. So I think he's the perfect guy to lead this effort to go over there because, they're going to be such favorites that the Europeans are going to be just flaming with emotion to come out and to win on their home floor, on their home soil, after what happened at Whistling Straits.
No doubt about it. What you got, Tim?
Well, I'd certainly like to see, highly improbable, but wouldn't it be awesome if we went over to Rome?
It would be fantastic.
And just took over there, us being David for once as the USA and them being Goliath. Of course, in golf, typically that's how it is, but it would just be great for us to go over there and slay the dragon.
It's been really interesting how for the longest time when it was just United States versus England and Ireland, that was it, right? And we just crushed them. And then Jack Nicklaus said, this is not right, and he led the charge to bring the rest of Europe into it.
Thanks, Jack.
And then at that point, then
what kind of goat is that?
But again, he was
that doesn't make it. Doesn't that make it more goatish, right?
Exactly.
Because
he's
it's
also the same guy that conceded a putt, so that the first time that the Europeans halved a match with them on the American soil. Jack Nicklaus conceded the putt to allow that, so that Tony Jacklin would win his match against Jack, and they would actually have a match in the U.S. First time they never lost. First time they didn't lose. So that's always been Jack Nicklaus's style: is you do it with grace and you win with honor, and you also lose with honor. And so in this case, the after that happened, when England, when all of Europe was able to join, then you had Faldo and you had Lotharball, you had all the Spaniards, you had all in this great team, and they wore the Americans out for a few years. And the Americans were underdogs, and now the shoe has kind of flipped. The Americans team got old, and the Europeans kind of wore us out. Now the European team has gotten old. The Americans have all these youth guys coming up, of JT and Morikawa, all these guys that are now, Koepka, DeChambeau, Spieth,
Phil Mickelson.
JT, not Phil. That's why Phil was an assistant captain. But, so now the shoe is kind of flipped over, where the youth is now on the American side. So it'll be interesting to see how we are able to do on foreign soil. Typically, we don't do very well over there.
Right, but I think, we're coming off the Olympics, right? And you, as a former golf professional, you have some ties. You make that call to Zach. Let you speak to the entire team.
I'd love to.
And give him the defeat Russia speech.
The thing is,
just pretend everybody over there is the ROC, and let's get a W for the USA.
You know what I loved about this past Ryder Cup team is they didn't have that. They didn't have the speeches. They didn't have it. They just went in there with the attitude of, we're better, and we're going to go beat your butt.
America.
And they did it. They didn't need the speeches. They didn't need the rah-rah. They just went over there and said, we're better than you, and we're going to prove it.
Speak with our clubs.
Mm-hmm.
I need a break. We're gonna take one of those, and then we'll be right back, and we'll keep it rolling. Keep it tuned in. 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show, weekday mornings 7 till 9 on your station for the best local sports talk.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I will say,
I thought you guys had the best recruiting class in the history of the universe in the last 29 years. They're all 12 stars. They should all been ready.
Alabama fans have all these excuses. Can I do the Alabama update? Can I just get it in? No, they did.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
At Slim Chickens, craft means something. Kraft means bacon, and oh so crispy. Kraft means a good cayenne kick, and all-natural buttermilk marinated, made fresh, perfectly fried chicken, all served on toasted brioche buns. At Slim Chickens, Kraft means quality, and for a limited time, try our new Memphis-style barbecue chicken sandwich. Try Slim's Kraft sandwiches today. Slim Chickens.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Safety is important, not just for you, but also for your family. Emerald Coast AMSL specializes in women's and children's safety and self-protection. They offer a variety of products from stun guns, striking tools, pepper sprays, including GPS-enabled sprays, personal alarms, safety whistles, and more. Give the gift of self-protection and contact Michelle and Rick today, 850-358-2810, or visit their website at emeraldcoastamsel.com. Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense.
How would you like to work in an exciting and fun industry? Gold Standard Broadcasting, one of the top broadcasting companies in the Panama City market, is looking for a dynamic sales professional. You must have business-to-business sales experience and have a positive attitude. Send your resume along with the cover letter to espnpanamacity@gmail.com. That's espnpanamacity@gmail.com. We can't wait to meet you.
Who will be this year's Cinderella? The madness starts March 13th. Listen exclusively on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Have a quick stretch first.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs inside the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, old school Boston Sam. I'm David Hayes, and this is 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Big shout out to our TV partner, Blab TV. Make sure on the fire, if you have a Fire Stick or Roku, you get the Blab TV at Marshall. Is suing Conference USA in its latest attempt to exit Conference USA by July 1st. We'll see what happens there. You got a couple of teams who are trying to get out of Conference USA.
They're all wanting to go to the Big 12.
I could see Marshall.
They want that big TV contract.
No, they're not. I mean, they're trying to get out. And this is weird because, like Oklahoma and Texas are coming to the SEC, and everybody's upset about it. In this case,
everybody except for SEC fans, which are like, okay, come on, buddy.
Come on, we're ready for you. But in this case, there's Marshall and a couple of other schools that are wanting to go join where the schools that are going to the Big 12 are, that are leaving to come there. And the other schools are not wanting them to go, and they're not letting them go. So they're having to sue to be able to leave.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Because
typically, as long as you're willing to pay the money, the conference will let you go.
But
these guys are saying no.
And I think it's even a little bit more weird with them being a public school. It's like, why not? I don't know. We'll figure it out. More to come from that story, absolutely. The Oakland A's ballpark possibly could be going to Las Vegas, right? It's a long shot. What are you thinking over there, Boston Sam? What's going to be happening with the Athletics?
There's talks about it going there, but there's already designs of the new ballpark in Oakland.
Okay.
And they're talking about a $12 billion grant going there, with $1 billion of it going towards the stadium, and then they're going to build hotels and shopping plazas around it, 1 million square foot shopping plaza, as well as apartment complexes. And so if they're that deep into the talks already, they're talking about redesigning the water side on the bay there and everything. So that's pretty big talks. $12 billion going into that community is pretty huge. And I think that if they're already that far into it, there's probably a very slim chance that Las Vegas is going to get the A's this time.
So the Raiders back to Oakland in 2034.
I don't know about
that. No, I think Vegas is starting to really get a stronghold on professional sports.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility that Vegas will still try to vie for some baseball team. I just don't think in this particular instance it'll be the A's.
Yeah, no doubt. I hate to say this because I love the Tampa Bay Rays, but you put a winning franchise in Las Vegas? Oh, man, those people. I mean, look at what the Vegas Knights have done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I forget the record. Just look at the excitement, the environment that's their arena, and just the all-star presentation that they put on. Vegas has got a lot of things going for them.
If you were living out in Las Vegas and it's 172 degrees, you're gonna give somebody $85 to go sit in the ice room. I'll give you $300 if you let me get out of this heat. There isn't a shadow out here.
Listen.
Get me next to the ice, please.
If you're at 172 degrees.
I can't believe they can actually keep the ice.
That's insane. Technology, boy.
The technology. Because, we've had situations in the past where, down south, they weren't even able to, even like in Dallas, they had a hard time for a while keeping the ice where they needed to. But I guess technology's improved. But I think the big story here, Dave, that you've got in here is that the fact that the Daytona 500 whipped the NBA All-Star game in the rating standpoint.
So this is the largest gap between the two events in the last 5 years, and the Daytona 500 edged them out by 41% and didn't get the rest of the number.
Edged them out.
Edged them out at 41% more. I don't think that's an edge.
Well, it's
that's
over 30. That's a shellacking. It's over 30, and if we'll use the percentage as the same point as a point.
Yeah,
so
UConn edged out Villanova last night. They edged those guys.
This is
not an edge
I mean,
out.
This
This
is
is an
shellacking.
embarrassment for the NBA.
It is.
No
It
offense to
really
NASCAR,
is.
and congratulations to them, and they deserve it. And everybody knows the hype that comes with the Daytona 500, and it's justified. All right, there is no more excitement, I would say, almost ever in NASCAR than what you get to see in the Daytona 500. Right?
Definitely.
But NBA is a big, big company that should be putting out a huge product, especially on All-Star Weekend, and they failed. And Daytona proved why, because they're just as big right now. So shout out to Daytona. They put on a big show, a big weekend, and the racing itself on top of it was also phenomenal.
So you brought up something, man, we've got so many headlines to get into today. Very surprising for the offseason being pretty much upon us here, and we got a lot of stuff going on. But you brought up yesterday, Boston Tim, Oscar Shibwe, and so he's here on a visa, right? And because of that, you're not allowed to work a job when you're on a student visa. What's it, an F1 student visa? So you can't have a job. Well, they've got it kind of worked out. Shibwe, his agent, his immigration lawyer, and the Kentucky coaching and compliance staffs have helped him navigate the legal complexities of earning NIL income and while he's attending an American university, in this case, Duke. So a couple of things on the table for him. Multi-million deal on the table if he comes back. Yeah, that's cool and all, but what is Shibwe wanting to do now that he can make a little bit of money?
I mean, he wants to bring his family over, right?
Yeah, so where's Oscar from?
He's from the Congo.
Yeah.
He's Congolese, yeah.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool to me. Like, of course, I mean, I get it with your family, but he's been here for 6 years now. 6 years. His mom is living in like in a house with 10 other people. That's basically the equivalent of a dorm room there at Kentucky. I said Duke a couple seconds ago. At Kentucky. So he's bringing his mom over for the NCAA tournament. Like, this kid, from what I've been reading and what I've been learning about him, he's not selfish, and he's just such a big part of that locker room. I just think this is so cool that we've been hearing all of the negative sides of the NIL, and it's like this kid is using it to help bring his mom closer to him. And he said, the most selfish thing that I've seen him said is, guys, if my mom does come to a game and you pass me the ball, it's not coming back to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going 50 and 30 on that night.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear. I'm going to keep it real with you. All right, we're going to defend.
Be the one time I'm not selfish.
We got way more headlines to go, but we also have Defend Your Stance and Stances to Defend. We'll be right back.
Weather forecast overnight, a little bit of fog forming. The overnight temperature with partly cloudy skies above, about 55 to 60, and light south winds. The morning fog will lift as anticipated. It'll be partly to mostly sunny Thursday. Highs around 78, light south winds. Chance of a shower or two Friday, partly sunny near 75. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Auburn basketball returns to the Auburn Sports Network. Pops it for Walker. Up and jams it. Jabari for three. Bang!
Oh, is he a player? That's basketball played at its very best.
Tonight, the Tigers host the Ole Miss Rebels.
Hardwell with the two-hand hammer. Cambridge a three to tie it. Yes!
Coverage begins at 7 Central on your home for the Auburn Sports Network.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get ready for your next adventure and drive away today in a new Kia during the President's Day sales event going on now at Bill Bird Kia. Check out the new 2022 Kia Soul. Its next-level versatility, smooth, and all-around good looks will give you the peace of mind you can trust. Purchase a new 2022 Kia Soul and get up to $500 cash back. Come see us, and you'll see why we have the best overall buying experience anywhere. Bill Bird Kia is the original home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. You'll enjoy the way we do business at your local community dealer, Bill Bird Kia.
Cashback offer from KMA on the purchase of a new 2022 Kia Soul for well-qualified buyers. This incentive is a limited-time offer only eligible on Kia vehicles. Not all incentive programs are compatible and cannot be combined with finance or lease offers from KMF. See dealer for complete program details. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 2822.
February is wine tasting month. Join us at Café del Mundo in Panama City this month as we sample wines from the Russian River, Paso Robles, and Spanish varietals, all served with our artisan charcuterie. Save the dates to join us on February 18th and 25th. Purchase tickets on Eventbrite. Café del Mundo, coffee roastery and wine bar, situated in the Cove of Panama City.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Defend Your Stance, brought to you by Emerald Coast Damsel, Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. This weekend, they're going to be at Lake Town Wharf. We pity the fool who doesn't use our tool. Y'all get out to Lake Town Wharf and check out Emerald Coast Damsel, Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense, and that's Michelle Nowalinsky and Caveman Rick. So let's start it off with a little Phil Mickelson question here. Should Phil Mickelson lose his automatic qualifiers for the PGA Tour, Old School?
I don't think he should, but I think there could be a suspension that's coming his way. But to just so that everybody understands what I mean by that is the PGA Tour is separate than the PGA of America. The PGA of America, like Brian Mulvey is a member of the PGA of America. He's a PGA golf member.
Right.
So the PGA Tour, the PGA Championship, which Phil won at age of 50, is put on and owned by the PGA of America, different than the PGA Tour. And if you are a champion of the PGA tournament, you get certain automatics, automatically into the British Open, automatically into different major tournaments.
Right.
Well, he's been basically blasting the PGA and the PGA Tour about being greedy and owning his, media or his pictures of him when he's playing golf and whatever. NIL basically. And so there's some question about, and now given the fact that he was dealing with some of the questionable characters in this Saudi deal, that the PGA Tour and the PGA of America could come after him and say, you know what, we're going to revoke some of these things that are automatic because of your willingness to go and compete with us.
Well, I mean, it's their business. They have the right to do that, right? They could kick him off, right? Can they kick him off?
They can't kick him off, but they can suspend him for.
So they can't revoke his membership?
No, he's earned his membership, but they can suspend him, and I think that they will at some point.
What would constitute revocation?
I mean, they're going to say, hey, you've said some things that are disparaging against the tour, and so therefore we're going to suspend you for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever, and you're not going to be able to play in this year's PGA,
right,
or whatever.
So do you think if he were to do this again in 2 years or something like that, would that be call for a full season or something like that? I mean,
it's always guys get suspended for different things, if they behavior that's not becoming to, being a professional as a member of the PGA, you can be suspended from it.
Right.
We've had players because of drug usage or other things that have happened where, they get suspended. In my case here, I think Phil is at risk, but I'm not sure that they will go as far. They may suspend him from the tour, but I don't think that they would remove his automatic qualifiers.
What do you think?
Freedom of speech, right? But all freedom comes with responsibility. I mean, it could come with backlash, and I wonder, how far they're willing to go. It depends on, what their perception is on what he said. It was pretty severe, direct allegations, and so, it's not surprising. It wouldn't be surprising to me, is like I was saying, is if he even got a full year. I mean,
so it's like if he earned the card, then no. He shouldn't, because he earned it, right? Like Tiger Woods can play in majors for the rest of his life because of how many he's won. But if it wasn't like that, and the PGA Tour was just basically the governing body of what was going on, then yeah, if you're talking crap about my league that I've got going on or whatever, then why do I even want you? You know what I mean? But then at the same token, it's kind of you're allowing Phil Mickelson to go out there and possibly play kind of like how he did was the U.S. Open that he won last year, right? Or was it the PGA Championship?
PGA Championship.
PGA Championship, and has one of those lucky runs. And then how stupid does the tour kind of look because the guy who's been bashing you is winning your tournament?
Well, the reason why I thought of this is because the PGA just announced that Zach Johnson is going to be the captain of the Ryder Cup. Well, Phil is in line at some point to become the captain of the Ryder Cup. Well, guess who owns the Ryder Cup? PGA of America. So I mean, if I was Phil, I would be doing anything I had to do to win back the favor of the PGA of America. And that, if that's free clinics, whatever it takes for Phil, I mean, Phil needs to really do more than just issue some apologies. And he's got to do a little bit more than what he's doing to win back the approval of the PGA.
Yeah, we already know he can type on a keyboard, right?
Yeah, he's got to do a little more than that.
Would John Wall be better for the Lakers than Russell Westbrook? There's been some chirping that LeBron wanted a John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade ahead of the deadline. That didn't happen. But what do you think? Let's speculate. Boston Tim, would have John Wall fit in better?
Yeah, I think he would have fit in better. I don't know necessarily that he's a better player than Russell Westbrook. And, there's always the complaints about Russell and, too much time with the ball, too many shots. But, if that's a big issue with the Lakers, then why is he the player that has played the most minutes in all of the NBA this year?
Mm-hmm.
If the issue with him is that he's on the court too much, that he's attaining the ball too much, that he's shooting too much, then why don't you reduce the amount of time that he's on the court? Let's start with that. But as far as the speculatory question goes, I would say that, yeah, definitively, John Wall is a much better team player than the vast majority of point guards, let alone a Russell Westbrook, and that's what really they needed over there. I think they needed not only a team player to help lead, that where LeBron doesn't have to be the consistent point guard of the game, but also they needed some younger players, and that's something that a spot that they didn't fulfill. I really think they needed a young spark that can get them a little bit more of an up-tempo offense, and they didn't reach for that at all this year. I was very surprised, especially come down to the trade deadline.
Well, but I mean, wasn't some of the criticism of John Wall very similar to what the criticism now of
basically ball hog?
Yeah, ball hog. And once
when was the last time that John Wall was really playing at the level he was playing at Kentucky in the NBA? Ever?
Well,
there was a time. There was a stretch, right?
Beal
yeah.
And John Wall. I mean,
about 18, 19. But since then, every stop that he's made has just been he's just there. It's almost like having been Simmons. You got a guy on your roster, but he's not getting utilized.
He's also been injured for the vast majority of the last, I think, almost 3 seasons now.
Which is very different than the Ben Simmons. I was just talking about roster space.
Right. But yeah, I was going to say, where Ben is a little bit different, But, I think coming with that was they would have also put a smaller price tag on attaining John Wall as compared to Russell Westbrook. So not only would they have gotten maybe a player who wouldn't have played as many minutes, he would have probably been a better fit for the team, but then they would have also had a little bit more cap space to probably grab somebody else.
I think that's a good point. The fact that, that John Wall is not going to be near as expensive.
Right. He doesn't command the full max anymore.
Right.
So
I see what we're saying, but I still think at this point in time, who knows? Who really knows what the answer to that is? Now, if they get a little bit more money, that's beneficial for them, or a little bit more leeway, leg room. But I don't know, man. They could have.
I tell you what, though, to be honest, if it comes down to the playoffs, I would rather have Russell on the team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think I'm there all the way through and through, though. Russ, like if they could figure it out, you know what I'm saying? They're older, though. That's the problem with it, is that they just don't have the youth on their side anymore. But it's not like Russ is the worst player ever. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the gel is not there. You never have
there's nobody else on the court that can keep up with his pace.
Right. What were you going to say, Old School?
No, I just was wanting to get to question number 1 here.
Oh, okay. Just for Old School here. Should Major League Baseball eliminate the shift? I'm curious to your answer now.
Don't be shifty.
I don't want to go first.
All right. So I'll say.
Make it a short one.
I'll say that I don't think that they should eliminate the shift because at the end of the day, you should do your darndest to play to the best of your ability or to put people in position. You know what I'm saying? If you're smart enough to have this guy, if you get burnt, you get burnt. If it helps you out, it helps you out. So that's what I'll go with. I don't think they should.
I don't personally like the shift.
I don't like it at all.
It's not my bag. I don't particularly like it, but there are no rules against it. And just like sabermetrics, if you can find a more intelligent way to beat a team, then you have to do that until they find a reason not to. And so until the MLB comes up with a rule that states that for whatever reason, this is taking away from the game of baseball, which some of the fans, including myself, already think it is. But until that rule comes into place, you have to accept that right now they've come up with a plan for their team to put their players in place that's just a little bit more intelligent, that's taking away a batting percentage for specific hitters who are incapable of utilizing the entire field. So for me, like I said, I don't like it. It doesn't look like baseball when they're out there, but it is an intelligent thing to do. And so for me, until the MLB changes the rule, I'm with it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. For the last however long it's been going on, seemed like the last 3 years particularly, I've been seeing a lot of shifts, and I hated it. And I hated it. And I hated it. And I thought, man, they need to put a rule in place that it shouldn't count. And then the more that I really looked into it, and honestly, Sam, when we talked to Sam Peebles, Sam really kind of got me to really thinking about the fact that they just figure out what the percentages are of the best opportunity to get people out. And that's what the game of baseball is about. And it's a little bit like in the NFL, where the object is have more offense. So they've changed the rules. So in this case, one of the things that we want to do is get people out in baseball. So I'm actually, I don't like it, and I don't like the way it appears. I would like to limit it to certain times of the game, but I don't have a problem with it.
It's almost just the opposite of the hitting portion of sabermetrics, where they show you the 9 portions of the plate, and these are the percentages in which you hit the ball coming in these particular 9 spots, where it's the opposite in the outfield. These are the percentages of where this person's hitting the ball, and this is where we need to stand to prevent that.
And for all the people out there who said, just hit it the other way, like it's that easy. So let's listen to let me tell you what a career 295 hitter and Freddie Freeman said. Everyone's like, just hit the ball the other way. So I'm trying to cover 5 pitches. They're all moving. One's like 98. And I'm just going to be able to do whatever I want and hit a ball to the left side. It's not that easy. I wish it was, or I do it more often. We'll be right back.
It's here. The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus, more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
Quorum Steak and Egg, home of the world-famous Heavenly Hash, has been family-owned and operated since 1986. Open daily 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Quorum Steak and Egg prides itself in offering fresh, never-frozen favorites at family-friendly prices. Come in and check out our daily lunch and dinner specials. Quorum Steak and Egg at 804 South Tyndall Parkway, where you never leave hungry. Also available on DoorDash and Grubhub.
Hi, this is Coach James Hale, here to tell you about the best car wash on the beach. Blue Sky Express Car Wash. Number one, they're locally owned. You know Matt and his employees will do a great job. Number two, Blue Sky Car Wash recycles their water. Number three, they have the latest technology available. It does an incredible job on your vehicle. Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Back Beach Road is right near Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hill sent you.
Are you looking for a transmission man you can count on to do the job right? Then turn to Marlon Ducker at Mr. Transmission. They've been on the corner of 15th Street and Harrison Avenue for the past 33 years. Whether you're driving a car, truck, van, or sport utility, they'll find the problem using their state-of-the-art electronic diagnostics equipment and years of experience. That's Mr. Transmission on the corner of 15th and Harrison, or just a phone call away at 769-4477.
Your home for college basketball. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX Lynn in Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Dairyland is your land. It's car insurance that keeps you on the road so that you can make it to work on time. Its payment plans are flexible for when life gets complicated. It's affordable coverage to help you get back on the road again, even if you've taken a break. Because Dairyland is auto insurance that's customized to fit your life. Dairyland is your land.
Car insurance doesn't have to be complicated. We can help. Contact Ellis Agency Insurance today at 850-763-1627 or visit ellisagency.net.
Now back to the most dangerous afternoon show on terrestrial radio.
Danger's my middle name.
It's illegal in 5 states. The Afternoon Underdogs, inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's time for the 5 at 5. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Got a big basketball game tonight between the Auburn Tigers and the Ole Miss Rebels. We are in Auburn tonight, and the coverage for that game will start at 7 p.m., tipping off at 7:30, and tomorrow night after the Afternoon Underdogs, Tiger Talk starts at 6. That'll be great, and then big game for Auburn this weekend, too, where they take on the Tennessee Volunteers, who blew my dog of the day out of the water last night. Me and Tim's dog of the days did not work out too well at all. It was a good night for the favorites last night, so we'll start off with...
That's why they're underdogs.
Hey,
you know,
100%.
Because they're not going to win very often, but when they do, it pays off.
It does pay off. So number 18, Arkansas over Florida by 8 points, 82-74. Iowa, 4 points away from a shellacking over Michigan State, 86-60. They cover the spread, and they were under the set mark of 153.5. When I first saw that score, I was like, oh, they're over. And then I get in today, and I'm like, daggum. So yesterday I took the over on every game. 71 for number 24 UConn over number 8 Villanova, 71-69, which was probably the best game. No, I think it was the best college basketball game of last night. We've got some more on that game that we'll get into here in the next segment or so. Old school, you called it shellacking last night for Texas Tech over Oklahoma. Let me get my juice box, because it was not a shellacking, it was a shellac. They got them by 24 points, 66-42. And then Kansas, big win over Kansas State, 102-83. Boston Tim, what'd you have?
I thought you said Kansas was going to be the shellacking last night. That's what I was watching at the game.
No,
I was watching, it was
right. It was Texas Tech.
It
was Texas Tech.
Okay. I mean, either of them were pretty close.
I mean, it was the fact that it was Oklahoma going into Lubbock to Texas Tech, and Oklahoma's had a tough season, and I just thought, Texas Tech is really good at home.
Yeah,
much
they're
better
really
than they
good
are
at
on the
home.
road, and I thought it would be a shellac, and they were close.
All right, so any comments on the games from last night, Boston Tim?
Well, I mean, there was. I watched the Kansas game.
Okay,
I had
that
a bunch of bets going. I had Kansas in the over in the first half, Kansas in the over in the second half, and Kansas in the over for the game, and they hit all of them. So it was really exciting to watch everything that was going on there. A lot of team ball. They went really deep. So it was an exciting game to watch, and of course, Texas Tech was really awesome to watch. Those guys played some defense yesterday. That was exemplary. To hold somebody like Oklahoma, who's been playing relatively well, averaging 68 points a game, down to 42, that's great defense by them.
And that rivalry between Kansas and Kansas State it's not marquee by any means, except for when they're on the hardwood.
Right.
Then that is a marquee rivalry.
Yeah.
Other than that,
they just played about 3 weeks ago, and I think it was a 2-point game.
Yeah. It was the other way. They were playing at Kansas State instead of playing at Kansas.
Let's get into it tonight. We got 4 more great college basketball games, and I had to put the Lightning on there tonight since they haven't played a game in a whole daggum week, and it's a good one. It's on TNT. Boston Tim, I got to tell you, this whole time, man, I've been not misled, but I was expecting Wayne Gretzky to be not a studio analyst, but a color commentary or something like that. And so I saw Lightning playing on TNT. I believe that's our first time playing on TNT. So I was like, oh, man, I'm finally going to get to listen to Wayne Gretzky and how he calls games, only to look it up. And he's a studio analyst, so now I just got to watch him in between the periods. And it's like, man, come on. That's when the smoke breaks happen, brother.
I mean, he's a foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they want him to work on his abilities
the
before he gets in there.
and all that stuff.
I mean, I imagine if you wanted anybody to sit in a booth with one other person and talk hockey, probably Wayne Gretzky's the person that would be there.
Kenny Albert and Wayne Gretzky, that sounds like a deadly combination.
I mean, it could be great, but I mean, the whole thing is you got to learn how to do that job. I mean, you can be knowledgeable, but you got to learn when to talk and when not to talk.
Kent Bullard said, "What's up, Underdogs? Hello from Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Hope you enjoy your time there, Kent." So Oilers at the Lightning. Lightning tonight are a -190 favorite. Over/under set at 6.5. Boston Sam, what you got?
Well, you got two of the better teams in all the NHL coming together today. They're coming down here to Tampa. It's going to be a great game. We've seen the odds move on the money line from 170 all the way up to 200 today. It's a pretty big move in hockey. I do love the Lightning at home. I pretty much love the Lightning all the time, right? But the Oilers are a great team, 6-3-1 in their last 10 games with a 2-game win streak. Coming in again to Tampa, who is also looking good, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. These guys are looking great. I don't know why it's 7-2-1 and I'm missing a game there, but at any rate, 3-game win streak right now, looking strong. Although they haven't played in a week, I love these guys. I like the over in this game. But I do like the Lightning to dominate it, probably a 5-2 game.
Ooh, so the over with that. Old school. Where do I live?
No, well, I mean, that's a tough one for me because normally I would just say, where do I live? But in this case, I'm concerned about the fact that they haven't played.
That's a good take.
They have
yeah.
not played, and there's going to be some rust there, and the Oilers are good. And I think the Oilers are going to come in, and they're going to sniff around and say, you know what? This is a good chance to get one. And I think they're going to go out and get it tonight. So I'm taking the Oilers.
Over or the under?
And I'm taking the under.
All right. I'll go with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the over. I got to go with Andre Vasilevsky in between the pipes and well rested. This is a team who's kind of been injured at some point in times during the season. So they're rested. But that's a great point, Old School. They might have to knock the rust off, and I would rather this game be the game that they knock the rust off rather than this Saturday when they head up to Nashville for the Stadium Series game. Mississippi State at South Carolina. South Carolina at the house here. 2-point underdog. Over/under set at 139. Boston Sim.
Yeah, so this is a good matchup in the SEC. Now, these teams are the lower seeds. They're 7th and 8th, respectively, in the SEC right now. Mississippi State coming into South Carolina. The spread has moved to 2.5 points from 2 just recently. You're looking at Mississippi State on a 2-game win streak, 4-6 in their last 10 games, however, as opposed to the opposite with South Carolina, 6-4 with a 3-game win streak. I like South Carolina to defend at home today, and I like this game to go a little over the 140 mark.
All right. Old School?
This one is a tough one for me. I love South Carolina at home, but I've watched a couple of games that Mississippi State has played this year, and I like the way they seem to have the ability to rotate the ball, really move the ball, and they got a couple of guys that are very explosive when they take it to the rack. So I'm going to take Mississippi State to come in and get a big win here tonight, and I'm going to take the over.
Mississippi State and the over. All right, I like that. I'm going to do mine for Miss Sports Intruder. I'll take Mississippi State on the road, but I'll take the under. Wait, Boston Tim had the over. Probably should listen to that, but I'm not. I'll go with the under tonight. TCU at number 20, Texas. Texas 9.5 point favorite at the house here. TCU and Texas very similar records. I believe it's only like one game off. Over-unders at 126.5.
Yeah, let me get you right into that. So, absolutely, these guys are relatively close. We're talking about the 4th in Texas and the 5th in TCU teams relative in the Big 12 right now. Okay, so these guys are really close to each other. You're talking about 17-8 for TCU, 19-8 for Texas. So just like you said, they're only 2 games apart from each other. With this game and a lot of implications in the last couple games of the season, all being in the Big 12, there's opportunities for them to swap places right now, and even for TCU to jump up with the possibility to get into 2nd or 3rd place. Seeding really matters, of course, as we know, coming into the playoffs. So this is a big game for them, of course, following the next couple coming up. I like TCU to come in here, but I do not like them to win this game. 9.5 points is a lot of points. So I like Texas to cover I like TCU to cover the spread, but I do like Texas to win this game. I think it'll be an under game, low scoring, both teams.
Ooh, old school.
Well, I mean, this is a game which it's not a marquee game. It's not a big eye game, except if you're in Texas. If you're in Texas, this is a big game. TCU and Texas, they don't really like each other. TCU is always a little jealous, and they have a tendency to yip yap a lot. And I have a feeling that Texas is going to be a little on edge tonight, and I think Texas goes in and gets the win, and they're going to handle them pretty good. So I will take the University of Texas Longhorns, and I'm going to take the over because I think the running game gets going tonight.
Let me 9.5 is just big.
That's
I know
a lot
that
of
you're
points.
I know you're on the road, but 9.5 is a lot, especially if it's going to be under. I want the under to happen, so I'm going to go with TCU in this game. Even with Texas being at the house, but 9.5, that's a lot there. And this other one's perplexing to me as well. Rutgers, who's on a tear right now, is visiting Michigan, who's without their coach in Juwan Howard. And Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite, but they are at the house over/under at 135.5.
Right, and then on top of missing Juwan Howard, we also know that two players were suspended in this game.
Yeah.
One of them being Diabate, who started 18 games this season. So now he's not a full-time starter. He is the fifth, sixth guy going in and out. And, of course, the sixth guy coming out with him, Terrence Williams, also suspended. So you're looking at your fifth and sixth guys, or your first and second guys coming off the best, respectively, your sixth and seventh best players. That's tough. And then on top of that, not having your head coach there, this is going to be my dog of the day, guys. I like Rutgers to come in here. Not only do I like them to cover this spread, I like them to win this game, and I like them to blow Michigan out double digits. Let's go Rutgers over 135.
Ooh, how many points for Ron Harper Jr. tonight?
Man, I would like to say probably about 19 points, 19 and 9.
How cool is it that you got two Bulls playing, or two sons? We were talking about fathers, sons, kind of sons following their dad's footsteps. Well, you got Ron Harper Jr. playing for Rutgers, and then at Vanderbilt, Scottie Pippen Jr. So pretty cool stuff there. And Scottie Pippen Jr., even in their losses, is putting up big numbers, though.
Yeah.
What a universe. It's so weird. You don't really think Vanderbilt of anything other than academically and baseball, right? Maybe diving or something like that. I don't know. I really don't keep track of that. What?
They're pretty good in golf.
Okay, golf. All right. Yeah, again, another one that when the champion comes up, it's like, oh, look, we're going to crown them champion this year. But Scottie Pippen Jr. is really holding it down there for Vanderbilt. I'm going with Rutgers as well in this one, and I'll go with the over. Old school, sweep it out.
Yeah, I'm taking. I think Michigan is in trouble tonight. I think all the news, everything has been negative. With coach being out now, the two students, two athletes are also out. Rutgers comes in feeling good about themselves. It's an opportunity for Rutgers to make a statement, and they seem to like those statement games. So I'm going to take Rutgers, and I'll take the over as well.
Last one, we got SEC basketball. LSU on the road, number 6, Kentucky. Kentucky is a 7.5-point favorite at the house, over/under set at 142.5.
Now, this is going to be a good game, guys. Now, I think this is a sneaky matchup here, right? We're talking about the number 2 SEC team in Kentucky, who's been streaking lately, 8-2 in their last 10 games, 22-5 overall. But LSU is no slouch. And what they're known for is not necessarily winning all their games, but covering the spread, right? So for me, I like LSU to come into Kentucky and cover the spread. I think they're top 30 right now in the country, which might not seem great, but there's 300 basketball teams, so top 30 is fantastic, guys. So LSU does well covering the spread. 7.5 points is a lot in an SEC matchup, so I like them to come in here and cover the spread. I like the game to be under.
Old school.
I like LSU to cover the spread, not to win the game, but to cover the spread. But I think it's going to be a different style of game. I think Kentucky's going to have trouble scoring. Because it's all depending upon how they shoot it. And they had a good shooting game the other day. Kind of goes back and forth. So I think that LSU will cover, but it's going to be an under game.
All right. Kentucky, dude, I've watched them probably 6 times this year. Each game, way more impressed than the last game with Sheboy in general. You got some other guys out there that can shoot. They might. I can't remember. I know in the game against Alabama, they had 2 of their top guys not going. Still came away with a 9-point victory. They're at Rupp Arena. Sheboy all day. They're covering the 7.5. In fact, they're going to beat them by 12 tonight. It's going to be 12 points or better. All right? And Sheboy is going to have 17 of them. So give me Kentucky, and I'll take the over in this game.
He's averaging 15.2 rebounds a game.
Rebounds.
Where do you think he's at rebound-wise tonight?
Ooh, over. Do we want to set the mark for that? Over or under 15.5?
Over under.
Wow.
Ooh. I'm going to go under by 1. I say he'll have 14.
I'm going to take over. I think LSU is going to put it up.
And brick a lot.
And they're going to brick it, and he's going to be in there. And then I think he's going to get a few offensive rebounds as well. I think he'll surprise people. So, yeah, I think he's going to get 18 tonight.
So your number 1, Boston. Oh, go ahead.
I like LSU to come in and really focus on him and put a lot of double-team box-outs on him. I like him to go under 15.5 in this game. I like him to be around 12.
About 12? I like that.
He's still going to put the double-double up, undoubtedly.
So dog of the day for you, Rutgers. Did you have any other?
No, that's my dog of the day, hands down.
I'm going to try one with this one, go out west. I feel like I always am picking dogs on the road, which makes it that much tougher. Last week I was 2-2. This week starting off 0-1. But I'm going to go with Washington getting 10 points on the road against Washington State. Washington in their last 10 is 6-4 against the spread, 5-4 on the road. So I'll take the Huskies tonight, taking on the Cougars. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Keep it locked in. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, the Afternoon Underdogs.
Weather forecast overnight, a little bit of fog forming. The overnight temperature with partly cloudy skies above, about 55 to 60, and light south winds. The morning fog will lift as dissipate. It'll be partly to mostly sunny Thursday. Highs around 78, light south winds. Chance of a shower or 2 Friday, partly sunny near 75. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Offord Tire and Service Center in Callaway. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. Yesterday was a failure of 2 grown men as adults making 7 figures. They should have both, in that moment, been angry, rip each other at the podium. Sometimes you have to smile and walk away. I know. Somebody touches me, game on. Coach Junior College. This is the Big Ten. These are big jobs.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 11 to 2, ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
We have some trick-or-treaters. Happy Halloween. Not the IRS.
Afraid of some scary folk showing up at your door? Not ghouls and goblins. Tax collectors. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes and haven't filed in years, the IRS wants you to pay up. The IRS can freeze your bank accounts, but you don't have to face this monster alone. Call the Tax Doctor for a free case review of $500 value. The Tax Doctor has years of experience to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress.
Not again. Are you supposed to be a superhero?
No, I'm the Tax Doctor.
Don't fear the IRS. Call now.
800-520-0735. 800-520-0735. 800-520-0735. That's 800-520-0735.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 850-215-6290.
When you have completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. I want to remind you guys tonight about the GOAT of GOATs on the Right On Sports Show. They're going to have 3 different play-in matches for the Go to Goats tournament. We'll have another edition of that right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida Friday, but 72 athletes and going through all of them. Starting off tonight with the Right On Sports Show, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Mike Tyson. That's a tough one. I feel bad for these guys debating this. Then you've got Michael Phelps versus Muhammad Ali. And then the final one will be Cristiano Ronaldo versus Billie Jean King. These all came through a randomizer, and, they put together a great list and a great schedule as well, and a couple of pieces that are going to be the criteria for how it works out is going to be championships, statistics, athleticism, impact on the world, and impact on their sports. So you also have a tail of the tape, and you can get on the Right On Sports group. Check out what we got going there, and we'll be doing some of that on this show and some on that show to try to keep some engaging content going throughout the off season. So let's get into some of the things that is going on in the NFL and take a look at a few of the quarterbacks. Who could use a quarterback like Mitchell Trubisky? What do you think, Old School?
I mean, that's a good question because we don't really know who Mitchell Trubisky is. We thought we knew who he was. We thought he was not very good, and then once we saw what the other quarterbacks did in that Bears offense, maybe the problem was not Trubisky, but maybe it was the coaching situation. So give a chance now for Mitchell to go somewhere, fresh start. He was the backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
But I think he's a free agent again. I tell you what, I don't know how expensive he is, but the Atlanta Falcons, they need a quarterback because Matt Ryan's getting older. Who knows, if he'll make it through the season next year. I'm sure Trubisky's not that expensive, but they need the Falcons need more than Franks from Arkansas. So the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, that's a good one. So his deal with the Bills was $2.5 million, $500,000 signing bonus, and $2 million of that was guaranteed.
And that's pretty similar to what Schaub had when he was there, a couple of $1 million to be the backup. So I think that fits in the Falcons.
That's not a bad pick at all, Atlanta though.
Yeah, is Felipe Franks above Josh Rosen on the chart?
Well, Josh Rosen came in later on, but yes, he was second string, and Josh Rosen, when he came in, was the third string. Now, it may be different after a traditional camp takes place.
That's a good point. What are you thinking about Trubisky? Where would you like to see him land?
Well, I find, like we do with news, recency bias is something that happens. And we saw Tom Brady make the move to Tampa, and then we speculate about Aaron Rodgers and other, more senior quarterbacks making the similar decision to try to change. And I see the move that was made with Matt Stafford, and he played a long time for a franchise that didn't really care about winning the games. They're more about just owning the business, and you see similarities in Chicago, and you question whether or not, like you said, was it Trubisky? Was it his abilities? Is he not capable of being a starting NFL quarterback, or is it the franchise? Is it the coaching? Is it the team? You know what I mean? And like you said, we finally get to see him leave Chicago, and you can see a little spark in his eye and a little bit more oomph in his throw, and you see a little speed on his feet. And I'd like to see him, maybe venture over to Washington with the new Commanders and
I like that.
See what he can do with Ron Rivera and really get something going there and have an opportunity with a solid core, not only inside but outside of the field. They have a good staff up top, they got a good coach, and they do have good wide receivers. They have a decent tight end in Jordan, they have a good receiver in McLaren, and they have a relatively solid, probably middle of the line offensive line, and that's more than you can ask for to come into. So for me, I think seeing him go over to Washington would be really interesting.
That's interesting. I mean, just while you were going through your points there, I was listening to what you said, and I thought, well, maybe another good spot for him would be San Fran.
Depends on what happens with Jimmy G, Tom Brady, all that stuff.
He's gone. Jimmy G knows that he's gone.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall there.
Right.
But do you go with Trubisky if you're planning on going with Trey Lance?
But you got to have somebody that can
back up
Trey Lance, who has some experience, and he has been an NFL quarterback for a couple of seasons. So you need somebody there in the room who's had some, because Trey didn't get any playing time last. I mean, he got a little bit, but
yeah. But who is Trubisky outside of Allen? who's still kind of young in his own right, really had to lean on.
But I mean, the reason is because Trubisky is good on the move, and that's a big part of Shanahan's offense. He likes a quarterback who's mobile, who throws well on the move. That's one of Trubisky's strengths. He's a big target. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he throws it pretty well. I just don't know about, he was not good decision-making standpoints, but anyway. So that's why I was thinking San Fran.
All right, I got a couple of them, and the first one, the Panthers are locked in to Sam Darnold for $18 million on the roster, right? So there's maybe you bring him in to have some competition with Sam Darnold, but that's where I want to see him go, and it's still the same situation where you go in as a backup, but in this one, well, in both cases, you have a realistic chance of taking over the starting job against Sam Darnold or the other one I'm about to mention, which is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, you go, and Baker Mayfield has a tendency, as we've seen over the year, not only to sometimes play as bad as a quarterback, but also to get injured. So if you have a guy like Mitch Trubisky who comes in and whenever Baker is injured, or if you just figure out it's the end of the leash for him, you know what I mean? Like we're not making the strides that we wanted to. Trubisky's a mobile guy with a good arm. If you can keep Landry and get another wide receiver, the run game there is outstanding if they stay healthy. I think Trubisky could thrive in a place like Cleveland.
That's an interesting thought. The only thing that for me is the Cleveland fans are just, they are ruthless and they are passionate and to me, given Mitch's history, you would like to see him go somewhere where the fans are a little more, how do I say, relaxed. They're a little more, they're not quite.
So you got to go somewhere where they don't win and they're content with not winning, which kind of.
like
the expectations in Cleveland outside of the preseason media expectations are pretty much all the same always the same for the fans.
Yeah, but their fan base is passionate about the Browns.
But they want them to be good, but they know they're not.
But the point is, they could be good.
They could be. They should be with the rosters.
And if they had the right quarterback, they would be good. I'm not saying that Trubisky is the answer.
The right quarterback.
Well, we said the same thing about the Lions when they had Megatron. I mean, they said the same thing about Chicago. But is it the team though? Is it the franchise?
The franchise.
I don't know. I mean, Baker, he put up decent numbers. He just couldn't get it done, and then. When the time came, he kept trying to play hurt because he wanted that fifth year, and now he's going to end up playing. He's going to be the backup to Russell Wilson or somebody out in Cincinnati.
Thought he was Jim McMahon.
Yeah,
Get out, man.
Be out in Seattle, and he'll be making good money. And Chase Daniels has been on the phone with him saying, "Hey, it's a nice life, man. You ought to think about it." Backup quarterback. It's not a bad place to be, Baker.
I would not mind a backup quarter. I wouldn't mind being third string practice squad. Well, I guess you got to work a little harder as a practice squad quarterback than you do a backup quarterback.
Not really.
I'm saying you might be taking more reps against higher opponents because you're basically the scout team for the ones. How about Jameis Winston? There's been talks of maybe the Bucs bringing him back. I don't know if the situation in New Orleans is even a play. Like, do you think Jameis would want to go back there knowing, like, he's not you got Taysom Hill there, new coach, defensive-minded in Dennis Allen. What do you foreshadow for Jameis Winston, and what would be the next move, the best move for his career?
Well, I don't think going back to Tampa is the best move for him.
Right.
If I was him, I would, if you look around, the NFL South is not a bad place to be.
The NFL South?
The NFC
Oh,
South.
okay, gotcha.
Because you've got Tampa Bay, they got a new quarterback. Atlanta, we're not sure how long Matt Ryan's going to be around. That offense is not dynamic by any means. And then you got Carolina. They're kind of a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of thinking maybe he thinks about, well, I'm as good as the kid up there in
Cincinnati.
Not in Cincinnati.
I know you didn't mean
in
that.
Charlotte.
Okay, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I'm as good as Sam Darnold. I'll go there. I can beat him out. I mean, if I was him, that's where I'd be looking to go. because then you're going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the whole division.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest of them are not that good.
What are you thinking about Jameis? What's a good plan for him?
Well, we have a number of quarterbacks on this list right here, and I could honestly see a swap possibly. We've already seen Jameis play relatively well in the time that he had with the Saints this year. But I think that when Teddy was there, his 2 years, he only started 6 games, but when he needed to come in to back up, he played really well. He played even better when he started those 6 games, 5-1, 5-0 in the second season in 2018 or 19, I believe it was, when Drew got hurt.
I might have been 20.
Maybe 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their contracts are relatively small, so it could be very easy for them to work this out. I would be honestly not surprised if a Jameis Winston went up to Denver with a swap for Bridgewater. Now, Jameis's contract is $6 million coming up this year. Bridgewater's only $3 million, so that leaves a lot of opportunity for movement. In other places, and both of these guys could probably step right in as starters, respectively, in both areas.
I like that. Man, for me, that one's so tough because Carolina, you could almost go through Carolina. You could think about the Commanders. That could be a landing spot for them. Possibly the Steelers if they don't make a move and get through the draft and don't take anyone. It's like, well, Jameis Winston is an upgrade over 2021 Ben Roethlisberger if he can stay healthy. I don't like Tampa for him. I think the Jets could be a great place for him to. I mean, essentially, you go there. That's gonna be your last year, pretty much.
No crabs.
No. Okay, all right. So I guess put him in Baltimore. He's gonna back up Lamar Jackson.
Tim, you should of all people, you should know you can get anything you want in New York. If he's looking for crabs, he can find them.
Yeah, but he's got to go all the way over to the city.
No,
they're not in the city.
Not if you're the quarterback of the Jets. They bring it to you.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be Jameis.
Oh, what about the Giants? The flip side. The reason I was saying Jets, though, is because I just don't think that Zach Wilson is going to be the answer. But then again, it goes right back to what you were saying with the Lions and Jaguars. And, is there something just wrong, or Cleveland, really, something wrong with that franchise? And I think that's what it is with the Jets. I had a lot more hope than what Coach Saleh produced on the field. So, I don't know.
Is Jameis, is he a free agent?
Yeah.
So he's a free agent. So
yeah, he's got a one-year deal.
Not requiring a trade.
Mm-mm.
Right. But, I mean, if I was Jameis, I know he wants to play. But, man.
And you're not going to go to the Jets and play because they're going to utilize that draft pick that they took.
I think there's still a $6 million cap hit if he doesn't.
If he doesn't sign against the Saints, because he signed a one-year deal, I believe. I believe it was a one-year deal.
Yeah.
I'll check it during the next commercial break. And
all right, well, let's go ahead and take that next commercial break. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mike Greenberg. Greeny. Remember, Charles Barkley said it on this show. Barkley told the story that when he got to Philadelphia, Moses Malone pulled him aside and said, "You're too heavy. You don't know what it means to be in shape. You're going to get in shape." And he was all over him. And while Charles might have been the round mound of rebound, he played a long time, and he always played at a weight he could manage. And it does not appear that Zion is doing any of that.
Weekday afternoons from 2 till 4. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. Gargoyles, dragons, and Bigfoot all send shivers up your spine. But Hemi's a monster that really strikes horror in the hearts of men. Now don't be afraid, because when I return, I'll leash the Hemi Beast.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
on Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center in Hometown Towing.
The Monster Hemi, whose mere sound makes mortals whimper, first paired in 1948 as a 6-cylinder engine developed by Harry Westlake for Jaguar. In 1964, Hemis rose to kings of the jungle at the Daytona 500, taking first, second, and third places. And today, these automotive Hellcats top 400 horsepower. But what does Hemi mean? Hemi is short for hemispherical, which represents the half-sphere architecture of the engine's combustion chamber. Unlike the typical wedge-shaped design, Hemi's rounded dome allows for increased airflow, which means colossal horsepower. Perfect! I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
The last time he went to a club, the DJ was taking requests. So he gave them $10 and requested they played Turn Down the Volume. Old School is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. Live from the Rib Crib Radio Room. Turn down for what? ESPN Northwest Florida.
The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app 2.0 is now featuring ultra-high fidelity and live sports. You can check out our programming scheduling of all the big games and click it to win it. Tasty prizes this week from Rib Crib. All right, let's get back to some of those quarterbacks. Boston Tim, what do you think could be the plan for Marcus Mariota, former Heisman winner?
Former Heisman winner.
Him and Jameis.
He had a couple decent seasons for you guys, but what has he really done recently?
He's a good. I mean, he's really a quarterback that you can't use him like Taysom Hill, but in that kind of realm, right, where he's a quarterback that can change the pace for you, but he's not a guy who's going to set the pace for you.
Right. Well, you know what realm he belongs in?
The USF or
the spring realm.
The USFL or the XFL.
I see him coming to Birmingham and being a stallion, my friend. 'Cause that's where he belongs.
I see him sitting in a booth with headphones on calling a game.
For the
probably a college game, but he'll be.
Are y'all interested at all in what the USFL did with their draft?
I did not look into it. No.
So I've got the top 10 or the top 8 quarterbacks, the 8 number QB1s that the teams drafted. No, actually, the number 1 draft pick overall went to the Michigan Panthers, and it was Shea Patterson out of Michigan. Okay. Former 5-star recruit. He played at Ole Miss and Michigan. Had 8,800 yards, 68 touchdowns. First quarterback off the board there, so that was pretty cool. Tampa Bay Bandits selected Jordan Ta'amu out of Ole Miss as well. Shea Patterson played at Ole Miss first. He threw for 5,600 yards and 30 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions. Ta'amu signed with the Texans in 2019. And then he was in the XFL for a little bit, and now he'll be playing. He was with the Battlehawks. That's who. Yeah, he had a decent career there. But then you start getting into some of the other quarterbacks, and it's like you really have to do research to find out who these guys are. So we'll get into that a little bit more research to be done. The number 3 pick, though, Philadelphia Stars, Brian Scott, is tabbed as the Aaron Rodgers of Division III. He played at Occidental College, like accidental with an O, though. So pretty cool. 9,073 yards, 77 touchdowns in only 33 games. Thank you, Siri. She said, I can't seem to recognize this song. But so Marcus Mariota, that you brought up USFL, XFL. What's a good team you would like to see Marcus Mariota on in the NFL? Or do you think, you already said, I guess, old school. So for me, if he doesn't get one more year with the Raiders, he's going to be a backup in the NFL. He still has NFL qualities.
In the XFL first overall draft pick. Signed by The Rock.
Well, you got to make a splash like that if you want your league to last longer than a year this time. You do need to make a big splash. So
I'd be going after Jameis if I was Rock.
For the XFL.
I mean, because he's been a good, serviceable.
I don't think that either one of, and I get where you're coming from. I really do, but that will kill the relationship that the Petri dish that they're trying to start is not supposed to involve players. So unless NFL teams are just
What,
not interested in these guys.
He's an unrestricted free agent.
Well, 100%. But I'm saying if you go in the XFL and you're touting, oh, we got Jameis Winston from the NFL is going to now.
It kind of goes with Jameis's brand.
Yeah,
right?
but not if
the XFL goes
not
in there
if
and
one of those
steals the quarterback away.
Not if one of the 32 NFL teams want Jameis Winston. Now, obviously, if Jameis makes a decision on his own, well, I think the XFL is a better place for me. Then that's a totally different situation. But if the XFL goes in there and tries to slide in, then they're going to ruin it. It is going to be a one-year league.
Well, I mean, yes, David, and my point is I think Jameis could look at this as an opportunity I need to get out there and put some stuff on tape. I need to show that I still have the ability to play. And I don't want to be a backup. I want to go play. And if I'm going to have to be relegated to a backup role in the NFL, I'd rather go play for the XFL and play and start.
Well, we could be on the precipice of that because this draft class of quarterbacks not highly rated, right? But then you look next year.
College?
Well, this is USFL though, but that's a totally different thing. But what he made it accidentally. No, but man, you got me all off track. To Teddy Bridgewater, we go. You like Teddy for the New Orleans Saints to be the backup there, or to be the QB1, or is it going to be Taysom Hill show? Taysom Hill show?
Teddy Bridgewater?
Teddy Bridgewater.
I like him in a couple different areas.
I would take Teddy over Taysom Hill as far as starting quarterback goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, hands down. And that's one of the spots, like I said, I think is a good spot for him to go in there. I think it's good for the Saints. I think it's good for him. And I think they can get a good swap and maybe even a little bit more for Jameis. So for me, I'd like to see him go to the Saints. But I also think there's a good possibility you might see him in Houston, right? I don't know. They've given up a lot in the last couple of years. We see Hopkins going, and they have to rebuild no matter what. And while they're doing that, I think Teddy would be a decent quarterback to get him through it.
All right. What do you see for Teddy Bridgewater? You weren't a big fan. You wanted Drew Lock over Teddy Bridgewater to start for the Broncos last year. So,
yeah, I mean, I've not been a Teddy Bridgewater fan of him playing the role of quarterback. I'm a fan of him as a person and as a competitor. But I think he's got to be somewhere where he's not asked to drive the ball down the field, because he doesn't. That's why he's not going to work in Denver, because it's windy and it's cold, and you got to have an arm. You got to be able to drive the ball into the wind. And you see his throwing motion. He's kind of under it, and he's just kind of getting it out there. He's not like driving the ball. I could see him playing in a dome stadium, if he wants to go play in Houston or go play in some other places. Yeah, it would make sense to me. But anywhere where the weather is a factor, Buffalo or New York, where you get the winds blowing, it just doesn't work for Teddy.
Well, it gets cold in Indianapolis, but I certainly think he could probably hand the ball off to Jonathan.
But they're also playing in a dome. It would work.
Right.
Is Teddy Bridgewater an upgrade over Carson Wentz?
I would think so, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he is.
As much as I dislike, or not, actually, I can't say that. It's not that I dislike Carson Wentz. It's that he turns the ball over in the most inopportune times for the Indianapolis Colts. Because honestly, if you look blindly at his stats, he had a better year than a lot of quarterbacks.
13th.
Yeah.
Overall.
It's not bad. Not a high level of interceptions. It's just the interceptions were at the absolute wrong times. I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater, in my opinion, is an upgrade.
He just needs to go somewhere where he's not being asked to tackle. That's all it's the whole thing.
I mean, the Colts are already on the hook for some money anyway. Teddy's only $3 million. They could just follow the Eagles' plan and play Carson for the first 3 quarters, put Teddy in for the fourth quarter
not a bad
and the playoffs
plan.
like they did with Nick Foles, and get themselves a championship.
That would be interesting.
You're welcome, G-Man.
You're welcome, G-Man.
The reason why I'm saying that is, Manning was with the Colts forever and ever. He couldn't tackle anybody. And so now Teddy's there. It's perfect. I mean, he's not going to be asked to tackle. We saw his effort in trying to tackle last year. So, I mean, it's a perfect follow-up to Manning.
At least there was effort.
If you don't believe me, ask G-Man. He'll tell you.
Come on.
All right, we're going to take our last break of the day. We'll be right back with the high school spotlight Big news out of Jacksonville last evening. Can't wait for it.
Weather forecast overnight, a little bit of fog forming. The overnight temperature with partly cloudy skies above, about 55 to 60, and light south winds. The morning fog will lift as dissipate. It'll be partly to mostly sunny Thursday. Highs around 78, light south winds. Chance of a shower or two Friday, partly sunny near 75. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Auburn basketball returns to the Auburn Sports Network.
Lobs it for Walker. Up and jams it. Jabari for three. Bang! Oh, is he a player? That's basketball played at its very best.
Tonight, the Tigers host the Ole Miss Rebels.
Hardwell with the two-hand hammer. Cambridge a three to tie it. Yes!
Coverage begins at 7 Central on your home for the Auburn Sports Network.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida are proud members of the Panama City Beach Chamber. We'd like to welcome the newest members to the Beach Chamber.
Service First Bank, TDJ Contractors, Keller Williams Success Realty, AtYourServicePCB.com, and Nail Garden.
Congratulations from the area's only sports radio station, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
What's up, everybody? David Pollock here with Bar Burritos. Did you know that Bar Burritos has 35 farm fresh ingredients? That means you have over 3,000 entree combinations that you can put on your plate. Luckily, Bar Burritos put together their 9 under 500 calorie menu, which features 9 different entrees that you can feel great about eating. Try the ground turkey salad with double protein, the mini chicken burrito, or my personal favorite Friday meal, fish tacos with guacamole. It's a winning play with Bar Burritos.
When the sun sets on the Emerald Coast, the freaks come out and play. David Hayes, Old School, and Boston Tim, the Afternoon Underdogs. Live and local inside the Rib Crib Radio Room on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Last segment of the day for the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim and Old School in the building with us. We had some great scores last night, high school basketball, great games last night. And in the 4A regional semifinal, Coach Rusty Cook and the Bay High Tornadoes go to overtime and escape with a 49-46 win over Paxson, and that is huge. So Bay High finishes they're not done yet. They still got the game this Friday, and if they win that one, that's the regional final, I believe, then they'll be in the Final Four for the 4A region.
Absolutely. An exciting event for them and an exciting opportunity for these guys to, really push into the playoffs. And it's a big moment right now. And in big moments, you can always ask for a little bit of help, right? So if we have the opportunity to help these guys out, we might as well do it. And so if anybody has the opportunity to swing by the school and drop off $10 or $20 and let's put a couple dollars towards these guys and make sure they're as comfortable as possible and give them all the amenities that they need to push towards this title that they got coming up, because I think they have a great chance at getting it. And with Bay County behind them, I think they're going to get it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Their opponent is going to be Andrew Jackson out of Jacksonville, and they're 27-2. Their losses came early on in the season, about middle of January or so halfway through the season, back-to-back losses, and then since then they've just been on a tear. But you look at Bay, 24-6 over their season, just got done taking on Paxson, right, who was 25-4, so they're no stranger to these big games. Even North Bay Haven with the great record that they had Mariana was a tough opponent for Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson beat them 63-60. Well, Boston 10, what was Bay's record against Mariana this year?
They beat them all three times they played them this year. And you know, Coach Rusty has an unconventional way of coaching, and the style in which he plays his players is very, very smart. You know, he plays to how the players play rather than putting, you know, your traditional big man in the big spot. He's got his biggest player as a 3-guard, and he works the team in a way that they gel together, you know, extremely well. And he's been able to do this in a really short amount of time. So I'm very excited for him. I'm excited for Bay in their opportunity right now, and of course in the future with him. So good luck to those guys. And again, if we can help them out, let's drop by there and give a little donation to Bay High Sports and the basketball team, and let's get these guys everything they need for this run at the tournament.
Yeah, which I would imagine they'll be leaving Friday because the game's in Jacksonville this Friday for the 4A final. The Final Four is going to be in Lakeland, Florida on March 3rd of this year. Yeah, get down there and help them out because they had a heck of a season, and that stuff gets expensive.
Absolutely. And you can only have so many fundraisers and run so many concession stands and things like that in order to bring money in. And you can only have a couple, you know, so many boosters in a small community like we have. So like I said, if we can help these guys out, you never can plan to go all the way to the championship, but there's an opportunity for us to do that. And so since that opportunity is here, let's back these guys and support them the best that we can.
No doubt. In the 1A regional finals, you had Paxton take down Jay 57-48 and Malone over Franklin 76-60. JUCO basketball on the women's side of things in the second place playoff game, Gulf Coast takes down Chipola by 1 point. This, I can use the term edging out. And it works here, right? 74-73, fellas.
Right, because if it was a 47-74 game, that wouldn't be edging out.
No.
Just because they won by 41%.
41.
A little bit closer.
Keeping me on my toes as always. High school baseball, old school. Get into those scores, and Boston Tim help them out some down the road.
Sure.
All right, so we got Bozeman taking on Bluntstown, and they only played 4 innings. Bozeman wins 14-0.
Big shout out to Coach Patton and the crew there.
Bay High School takes on Franklin and comes away with a victory 2-1. St. Paul takes down Sneeds 15-11. Weewahitska, I don't know what that is, Dave. Weewahitska Alpha.
Looks like they didn't get the score in for that one.
We don't have a score for that.
Right.
Port St. Joe it loses to Liberty. Liberty comes away 13-6. And Freeport shuts out Rocky Bayou 11-0. And then the shellacking of the week. Chipley puts it on Vernon 22-0.
Another 4-inning game.
Yes.
Run rule.
Yep. Gracefield puts it on Gadsden 13-0. Mosley puts it on Crestview 13-0.
And then we got high school softball where Mosley hosted Bozeman and they beat them in a 1-run game, 7-6. Vernon came out to Rutherford and they put some runs on the board, 20-3. And the girls in Mariana shut out Sneeds 14-0.
And again, right after this, we've got the Right On Sports Show, the Goat of Goats tournament. We'll be doing that between both shows, the Right On Sports Show and the Afternoon Underdogs tonight. We're going to be going over Kareem and Tyson. Kareem versus Tyson. Go onto the Right On Sports group. Make your votes now. Michael Phelps versus Muhammad Ali. And Cristiano Ronaldo versus Billie Jean King. Guys, which one, here's my question for y'all. Which one of these is the toughest for you to kind of go back and forth? Which is the toughest one out of these for you to choose?
Mine would be Phelps and Ali.
Ooh, that one's tough. I think I'm there. I think I agree with that, but then there's the other side of me that's like Kareem versus Tyson, because it's like Ali, Tyson, one of those two got to be pretty much the GOAT, or you can make the case for Mayweather, but the golden days of boxing, Ali or Tyson could probably be your GOAT there. Phelps, one of the most decorated Olympians of all time. Kareem, not only great in the NBA, but a freak in college as well. And
he was also a black belt in martial arts.
So, wow, that just puts you over the top. So, who would win in an MMA fight? Kareem, Mike Tyson?
If Mike got inside, he can defeat anybody. But you got to get inside.
You got to get inside, yeah. That's a long way.
You got to take a train to get inside those arms.
That's for sure.
I'm with you, old school, and because of this, simply that we know that of these 3 particular setups here, that Phelps and Ali are the closest to being the actual GOATs of their particular sport. Whereas Kareem, there's a number of people you can question. With Billie Jean, there's a couple you can question. With Ronaldo, there's probably 5 or 6 that you can question whether or not they are the GOATs. So for me, I think Phelps absolutely probably the GOAT of all time in swimming, and Ali top 3. So for me, this is probably GOAT of the GOATs right there.
All right, I love it, man. Y'all can check that out right on Sports Group tonight, 6 o'clock right after the Afternoon Underdogs. 7 o'clock, the coverage starts for Auburn and Ole Miss. 7:30 for the tip. They got a big game this weekend against Tennessee as well. Tiger Talk is tomorrow at 6 p.m., 6 to 7, right after the Afternoon Underdogs. Coach James Hale and the gang live at 7 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And Weston McKennie, big star for the U.S. men's national team and Juventus midfielder. He's fractured bones in his foot, and he could be out 8 to 12 weeks, which would possibly put him out for the final qualifying window for the USMNT. We'll be back tomorrow, y'all. Stick with us.